Hello everybody and welcome back to another Sims 4 rebuild or remodel here on my channel. And in today we are actually over in Evergreen Harbor, and I figured let's remake this little two-story, in a way just a terrible house. I've never really played over here. I don't know if I've ever actually played over here, but I just feel like it could use a little bit of work, and I wanted to make it kind of more in my style. And I have a very much older farmhouse, more I guess cottage core is what they call it now, but I also was thinking grandma chic in a way, and just redo it to where it looks a lot better than whatever this was in the beginning. So of course at first I'm just getting rid of everything, expanding it, trying to get it the shape that I want, and also I'm actually bringing it up higher so it has more of a foundation that it sits on. I just feel like it looks really weird being blended into the concrete. Another thing too, if you might see in this world, a couple of the lots are kind of like see-through. It's almost like I have no texture in a way. I have no clue if this is just how this lot is in general, but here lately every time I keep going into this world, that's how my world looks, even in gameplay. So I don't know if maybe it's just my game is messed up, or like I said, this is just how the lot is. Originally for this house, I didn't really have a concept of how many beds exactly. I just knew I wanted a more closed off, but a decent sized living room, not too big, but I wanted the stairs to be a part of the living room. And then I wanted a good sized kitchen and dining room together. And then I had a little extra room. So I did add a bathroom downstairs, which I think turned out really good. The original house, if I believe, is a 1 bed, 1 bath. And we ended up with 2 beds, well actually technically 3 bedrooms and 1 whole bath. And every single bedroom I also added in a closet, and I used the closets from I do believe City Living, and I love them. I think they're so cute, and sometimes I forget to add closets and other realistic things like laundry rooms into my builds, so every now and then I remember about them and I love to put them in. Also with the outside of this house, I wasn't really sure how originally I wanted to put it. I was thinking more of my old farmhouse at the farm, at my family farm. So I was trying with a wood siding. I wasn't really happy with it. I wanted a copper roof in the beginning because I love metal roofs, and I think a copper is such a pretty unique color, but I never can find wallpaper or just outside paneling or anything that really goes good with it, or at least that I think goes good with it. So I did kind of settle on this scalloped, I don't know exactly what kind of siding it is, but I do believe it's from Cats and Dogs, and I did the whites with the borders, and I think it turned out really cute, so that way I didn't have to add columns on every single corner. And I'm also using from Strangerville my favorite columns, eventually my favorite fence, and I also used my favorite spandrels and this front door. I really love this kit. I think it was so pretty, some of the items that came in it. I just really love also how this farmhouse turned out. It's a true, in my opinion, farmhouse. It just gives me the older style vibes, more of like, in a way, like a 1920s house, but it had some nice things on the inside, some more modern things, but I think this turned out really good. And I did right here try to use those happy birthday windows that they gave us, and then I added shutters. I did this one time on like a 1940s little white farmhouse, 1-story farmhouse that I built, and I think it looks so cute, but I just wasn't really happy with how it was on this because I knew I wasn't going to be able to really fit shutters on the size windows that I originally wanted for the bottom floor, so I didn't even fool with them. I completely got rid of them, and I do believe I just used Horse Ranch. Again, with this, I've tried to stay away from CC, but in the inside, you will see I used a bunch of CC, so I'm sorry about that. As I always say, I feel like because I can have it, because I'm on PC, I will be having it, and I think it's going to get better potentially with the Facebook market, or not Facebook, but the Sims marketplace that they're adding, but I also think you have to pay for that, which is really kind of sucky in a way. I thought it was going to be more kind of like how BeamNG is, if you guys know about that game, how they have where you can have mods and it's in through their game, you can buy mods, but you don't have to buy. Sometimes there's a lot of free stuff, and I thought it was similar to that. As I'm hearing more information about it, I do believe the new marketplace is going to be you have to pay to get specific items, and apparently they're moving their creator kits or their little kits that you can buy off of Steam or other websites like EA. They are moving that inside of that marketplace, which I feel like kind of sucks. With this house, I just really like a little bit of the stained glass look, so I used it of course with that front door, and then the little window at the top. I love those circle windows, and of course a good brick. I love brick so much, especially with the more white houses, but I don't like the brick stairs because for whatever reason when EA created these brick stairs, they made the brick go vertically, or at least how I'm looking at it, it's vertical instead of horizontal, and it really annoys me. So I just stuck with like some basic stairs for both the front and the back porch, and I think it turned out really cute, and I really love this little addition. Like both of these porches I feel like give a little bit of dimension to this house without being too much, because for the most part it's just almost like a box with a little addition for the front section, but I think it turned out really cute. With the landscaping, I wanted to kind of keep it looking like it was built originally on some farmland, and then they kind of grew up a city around it. So I did add in some of this concrete and kept with the brickwork throughout the whole little, I guess, backyard and side yard. I like how it turned out. I definitely think after I added in, which you'll see here in a minute, more of the florals and just landscaping, I think it turned out a lot better, because in the beginning I was unsure what exactly I wanted to do, and it just wasn't working out exactly like I wanted. If I had maybe 10 by 10 extra on the slot, I think it would have turned out a little bit better, but I think for the space, the size of the slot that we had, the landscaping really helped out. It really came in clutch. And also with the landscaping, I was just trying to pick simple green, a lot of green and simple colors when adding the flowers. I do believe these flowers are from the garden kit or a romantic garden kit. We got it for free, or I got it for free a couple years ago, and it was one of those that EA was doing a promotional thing with. And hostas, I love the way that the hostas look. I totally forgot about them. I think they're in with cats and dogs, and here recently I've been adding them to my builds a lot, and I just feel like they're the perfect, almost like fern, and especially because you can choose what color you want, but also it's something that you don't see in base game or like everyday builds. Coming onto this front porch, I just wanted simple patio stuff, maybe something out here that you would enjoy sitting out watching your neighbors. A blue roof. If you know what a blue ceiling on an old farmhouse is equal to, like what the story is, the reasoning behind that, then you know. And then on this back area, I just kept it kind of simple again, just added a little table and a grill. Going inside, I wanted dark hardwood floors, so I am using these actually from Eco Lifestyle. So I'm keeping with, since we're in Evergreen Harbor, I'm keeping with that, but then I kind of veer away and I'm using a lot of CC for the walls. Like I said, I'm so sorry. I was just going kind of back and forth between rooms. At first I was trying to get the wallpaper, but then you'll see I'll start working on something and then I might change the wallpaper later on. I felt like I wasn't happy until pretty much the final result. And now furnishing the kitchen, I wanted to have more of a 50s in a way kitchen. So at first I did an all white countertops. This is more the mid-century, but I wasn't thinking mid-century. I was thinking more of the 50s farmhouse. So I kept with an older fridge. I love this. I just got my Jungle Adventure to re-download because I got it one time for free. And then my game had an issue and I couldn't download it because it said that I owned it, but I just couldn't play on it for some reason. So I finally got all that. So I used that stove and fridge. They are one of my favorites. I think they're so pretty. And here I'm just trying to find things that I feel like would be really great to have for decoration or just in general in this house, kind of like my game plan. So I'm dumping everything I can out on the countertops. And I also really like that I added these shelves. I do believe these shelves were CC, but underneath the cabinet. So here at the end, you'll see I add plants to them and some dishes. Just make it more almost like you're living in this house and not just I'm decorating this house. Also adding in that side shelf, I didn't have enough space to put a actual tall cabinet on the side of that fridge, and I didn't like how it looked. It just felt a little bit incomplete, so I added this shelf from Cats and Dogs with a little bit of clutter on top, and I felt like that looked so much better. I also really like some of the colors because it's a more white with soft colors for the wallpaper. I was just thinking, like I said, like the 50s farmhouse. I'm adding in other colors, more bold colors in a way, just in the decor. Not crazy colors, but just a few extra. And then this little seating area, I knew there wasn't a lot of space, and there also isn't potentially a lot of people in this house. So I kept it more as just a 4-seater small square table. There isn't really too many options that I like from EA. I like this little buffet too, or this little china cabinet. I'm pretty sure it's just called a buffet, but I like how simple it is, and then eventually you'll see me decorate it. And I was just trying to put some things on it. The problem with this is more so the lack of spots in it, or how I think it's just 3 spots or 2 spots, and they're not in the middle of it. So it's kind of frustrating when trying to put decor on it, but I think it worked out. I was able to semi-space it enough. Hopping into the living room, I'm changing out the fireplace that I had and also the couch. Those were just kind of placeholders, and this is where I said more of that grandma chic vibe, I guess. I tried to go through all of my sofas and nothing was really calling to me, so I went to a CC, and then this actual high back chair, and there were not end tables from EA small enough to fit where I wanted them, so I did get those. And also I was having a little moment where I was upset because I wanted to use an older style TV, but I have nothing that could go on the wall. I didn't have enough space for that retro one, and eventually I just settled on this one, on this picture frame one, because I also don't have any besides CC. I think I just got one actually for one of the events that we just got, so I'm super happy about that. And then of course, it's not grandma's house without a gallery wall. And at first I did a bunch of these photos and then I kind of switched them out. So the photos don't make sense in the sense of it's a grandma's house in a way, but it makes sense of more of like the antique or collectibles. And then I love doing this in my builds. I don't even care if this isn't functional, like the Sims 3 on back. I love having a little conversation area or just a spot that if the phone were to ring, we could have a landline and just sit down. I just love how it looks, and I just really love the feel of it because it just reminds me of older times. Of also having a landline in my home. I need to get one in my home again. I miss them. And then hopping into the bathroom, because of the size of this, I just decided to make it a full bathroom with a combined shower and tub. And I like this older style. It is, I think, the CC version just because it has different colors. But I still think even doing the EA one would have been fine. I know it's a little weird having a full bathroom down on the bottom floor and having no bedrooms down here. To me, I just thought it used the space really good. I could have maybe made a small bathroom, just a toilet and a sink, and maybe added in a laundry section. But I really did not want to play or fool with the laundry. So I just left it at that. And then coming upstairs, like I said, I'm adding in these closets. I love these closets. I think they turned out so good. And I did actually make, in a way, 2 bedrooms and an office. I've been doing a lot of offices here lately because I think I've said before, I mainly just play with one sim. So for the most part, my extra rooms are always a gym, an office, you know, something random. And maybe I'll grow into them if I ever marry off my sim and have kids. But for the most part, I keep them as that. So in this bedroom, I'm doing this simple. This is like the master or the grandparents' bedroom. It's just very simple in here. A bed, the closet, a nightstand, and also there's not much room for too much else. So I'm doing a little bit of decor, but I'm not going crazy. And then this blue room is, like I said, the office. And in here, I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do, so I just kept it with the simple painting, more of the easel, some photographs, some CC stuff that I have that I think you can actually get, or I think EA made a version of their own. And then I just put in a desk and just a chess table. I didn't really know what else to put in here because I've been doing a lot of office builds and I'm getting kind of tired of doing them. I should have probably made this something else. Like maybe I could have made it a gym this one time. But I do really love these chairs, and having them with a chess setup, I just feel like they match very well. And then in the hallway, I did add in this little fish tank that hopefully is going to be filled with fish if I ever move in my Sims. In this bathroom, again, it's a full bathroom, but I kept it pretty simple. It actually has a smaller vanity than the one downstairs, but I felt like it was crowding it if I tried to do too much. So instead, I opted for a little cabinet, or this cabinet from Seasons, and I think it turned out pretty cute. And then finally, this pink bedroom. At first, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do in here, and then I tossed up the idea of making it a nursery. Either this is a grandparent's house and this is like the room that this little girl, like let's say they just have one granddaughter, but then I was thinking, what if this is just a couple and this is their daughter's room? Like they don't have any other kids, they just started, they just kind of moved into this house, they have more of that older style vibe, they love the older style looks in a way. That's kind of what I was thinking of. So I did go a little bit out because I don't know the last time I've honestly done a child's room or a nursery. I know it's probably just been a couple videos ago, but for me that was probably about a year ago, and I think it turned out pretty cute. I'm not gonna lie, I like this little nursery. So now we get into the before and after. So of course, this was the before, the outside of the house, and I never noticed this, but the two windows on the side of this house at the top level, they are not even the same height. This house just has nothing going to it. It almost looks like a shotgun house or a townhome in a city where the neighboring houses have already been torn down, and it just looks very incomplete. But then we have my little addition, and I think this just looks so cute. I really love the scallop siding. There's sometimes where I feel like it's just a little too much, but when it's in white and it's not too crazy, I feel like it's actually really cute. And I love that stained glass window. And then here's another angle, another side of the old house. And like I said, this is where my lot, you can see it's kind of glitching. There's some, almost like you could see through the map. That bench next door is for some reason floating. I don't know what's going on with my game. And then we have another angle of my version. And then this front porch area is really where I was like, we need to raise it up, because what is the point of having railings? What's the point of having this house look like this? And it's so blended into the concrete. It just didn't look good in my opinion. So I added some depth to it. I raised it up, and I just feel like this, along with all the landscaping, looks so much better. And still keeping with that concrete too, so that it kind of blends in. I know I couldn't find the right shade or the right tone, but it kind of blends in more for what's off of the lot. And then hopping inside, we do have the first photo of the living room. Honestly, nothing going on. I know you have to stick with the budget when building these through EA, but at the same time, we really just have a big giant coffee table. That's the conversation piece. Nothing else is going on really in this room besides a couch and a chair facing walls or a window. And then in the same way, I know we kind of added out and moved the house around, so not all of these photos are going to line up exactly, but since this was the same section of the house, you can kind of see the same section of the living room in my build, and I just feel like this looks way more lived in, so much better. Another angle of this old dreary, so sad, this interior. And then we have mine, and I really love that conversation area, just the sitting down, talking to your friends or talking to your family on the phone while also looking at that front door. That door is so beautiful. I'm so glad they gave us that. And then we actually hop into the kitchen, and this kitchen had a lot going for it. I mean, it's still very plain and bland, but I feel like it had a lot going for it in sense of a lot of furniture. Then you have, because I extended out, so much more space and so much more availability to put cabinets in. I really like how the shelves look, the coloring in here. Here's another angle because I took a few more extra screenshots to get around that bin, and I love that stove and that fridge, even if they're not the same color. I did on purpose make a white fridge with a silver stove. I felt like the white stove was just a little too bright. Honestly, it's okay to be a little bit off-white, if that makes sense, or not matching. I was thinking that the fridge was under the stairs. I think that's such a weird place. Maybe for a deep freeze or a pantry or something, it makes a lot of sense. But because the fridge is just right there, I just found that so awkward. Or it just didn't really have good flow to try and get things out of that fridge. And then we have this section where instead of having it all my kitchen in that one little section, I mainly just have my dining room. So you have a good flow from that back door going into that archway. I had to add in this photo because I added a bathroom down on the first floor that wasn't really there. So I don't have before photos of that, but I just have this one photo of everything in this bathroom. And then we have our hallway upstairs. For the most part, I feel like our hall kind of kept in the similar position. It might have changed a lot, but we do have a very similar before and after. So here's the before, not much going on. And here's the after, not much going on except for you have a fish tank and you have more color. And then we have our master bedroom, or the only bedroom in this house for the before section. And at least you have a desk. You don't have a computer or anything, even a typewriter going on, but you do have a desk, a bed, a nightstand, a lamp, and a dresser. So I feel like you have a lot. It's a good starter home, but it's also a good one to renovate for my dream home decorator, or when you first move in and you really want something different. I don't remember how much this was costing, so you might not have much when you first move in to actually renovate this place. But because I kept with the same windows and this was the same general location, I do believe, I did just go ahead and include this photos, the after photos to be of the nursery. So this is standing by the closet doors and it's a little crowded from this angle, but I really like it. I tried with the toys. I don't do kids' bedrooms very much. And then again, we have another before and also another after. And then hopping into the bathroom upstairs, this bathroom was quite big and a lot of space up here. You didn't really have a big shower, but you could have had a tub and a shower, or even a double vanity up here, and they just chose a single pedestal sink, a single shower. It wasn't really anything going on. The colors were very almost like blending together. It wasn't the vibe. And then we have my after. It's very crowded, I feel like, especially because I wasn't zoomed out, but you have everything you need still. It is a single vanity, but at the same time, this bathroom is a little bit smaller than the original. Here's another angle of that before, and then of course the after for mine. And then finally we hop into my last two rooms, and because I have no before photos for those, we are just going over these afters. This is just the master bedroom. Not much going on because of the size of this, but I think it looks pretty good considering it has the essentials. And lastly, we hop into the home office, or potentially you can convert this to another bedroom if you need it, but this being a home office, I think this turned out kind of simple, but I guess cute. I like this because it's a skill building area, and I don't really feel like 3 full bedrooms in this house would be good unless if I added a different dining table downstairs and not had a small square one. But that is my full renovation of Canal Corner in Evergreen Harbor. I hope you guys enjoyed this speed build. Sometimes I really enjoy just doing the renovations instead of trying to start from scratch a whole entire build. And I think in the next video, I might be having a rags to riches being posted here soon. So I'm super excited to start editing that probably today and potentially get that out there in the next couple weeks. So if you guys all enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like, maybe even a comment. Make sure to subscribe. Keep in touch with my YouTube channel, and I hope to see you in another video. God bless.